Carpenter, and welcome to part 1 of the Sasquatch Awareness Project. What do they look like? Now, today's going to be an introduction. I want to go over a few things, and I would be remiss if I didn't actually go over or tell about my first experience and show a witness sketch that a very nice lady named Sasquatch Irwin did for me. And this encounter happened when I was like 9, 10, 11ish in North Knoxville in East Tennessee, and I was up with my mom. It was about 11:30. Johnny Carson was coming on, so it was after the news. It was during the summer. It was warm. Daddy was working night shift, and I was laying on the couch with Mom, and we had a oblong square den, and at one end was the couch, the other end was the TV, and beside the TV was the door that led out onto the back porch and then on off into the yard. And Mom was going to take the garbage. Back then we had an old garbage can. We used a 50-gallon drum deal where the garbage man would actually come in your yard and empty the 50-gallon drum into one of those small pickup sized dump trucks and then take it to the main truck. So Mom got up, got the garbage, and walked out the back door. Well, right after she walked out the back door, these two little dark-eyed monkey-looking things ran on the back porch, and the picture we're seeing here is the sketch that Sasquatch did for me, and it is about as close as I've ever seen to what I actually saw that night. And it's these two little creatures, these two little Sasquatch. And they run up, put their hands on the glass, and they're looking at me through the screen door. And this picture here has the screen door, and the one on the right, the small one's probably around 4 foot, and the one beside it was maybe 4.5 foot. They look pretty much alike. They basically, at first, they were just staring at me, scared me to death. My heart was pounding out of my chest. And they weren't smiling. They looked at each other, looked back at me, and then they did this grin like that's been depicted here. And blow that up there so you can see it. And sorry about that. You can see here. And their hair was they were backlit from their right side, and so it made their eyes look really black and dark, and it kind of made them look funny since they were backlit. And then Mom was when she put the garbage in the can and she dropped the lid, it made a big clang. And when that clang happened, they both jerked their heads around like they had their hands like this looking in at me, and then they jerked their heads around. And then it was funny because when they turned to run, and they didn't pull their hands down, they just left their hands up and ran off. It was kind of funny looking. And so let's see, here's another close-up of what the bigger one looked like. And you can see that it's very humanoid looking. Large flat nose, wide mouth. They had high foreheads, and their hair was unkempt and just boing. At least that's what I remember. And then no hair on their face, but then the rest of their body, had hair on it. So that was my first encounter. That was what I actually witnessed. And I know many people, if I can encourage you to do one thing, if you're trying to deal with PTSD or even nightmares, I had nightmares, is to get an eyewitness sketch drawn. I've gone over this before, but it really does help. It brings out details. when you can finally put it down on paper or see the picture, it connects everything for you. You know, this is real. This is what I saw, and it's very therapeutic. And there's a link on the site to used to be Irwin Police. She's offered her services free of charge for those eyewitnesses, and if you'll contact her via email, she'll work with you. And I think it's very important. Now, this is just an introduction, and the Sasquatch is a human hybrid, and I've seen them 4 times. Made eye contact a couple times, and they're all different. They're just like us. They're genetically diverse, and what I'd like to try to do for those who've never seen one, at least prepare you for what you could possibly see if you have an encounter, and for those dealing with the trauma or maybe just the fact that you've seen one, you know, kind of show you some different ones. Now, all of these are mine. All of these are photographs that I have captured, whether it's back trail camera, whether it's trail cam, however, you know, they were captured, I captured them. And I worked really hard on cleaning them up, on the enhancements of the brightness and the contrast and the sharpness, and cleaning up, you know, all the artifacts so that, you know, I don't get the stuff going on. And so but I wanted just to kind of go over, you know, some of the basic looks. They're very human looking most of the time. There's genetic diversity. They have skin colors all over, you know, from black to sorry, I can't talk. Let's see, their skin color is black, it's gray, it's a leathery tan color, it's a Caucasian color, it's a pasty white. There's been albino. So the skin color goes to gambit, and so does the eye color. Now, 90% of the time or higher, their eyes are black or dark brown with very little sclera. But there are some that have blue eyes or green eyes, and they're more human looking. Which I mean human looking is the pupils are smaller, and you see the sclera. Most of them have wide, flat noses, but there are, you know, those that have skinny noses. That, you know, more of a Eastern European nose, and some have a bulbous nose, a Jimmy Durante nose. I've got one that I had a video of. I actually witnessed it, saw it before I videoed it. It has the upturned nose. It's the nostrils are up, and you can plainly see them. They're turned up, and it's the only one I've ever seen like that. Though there have been a few reported like that. So I'm going to go through the pictures here. This one right here is this was one of the first captures I got. This guy here, he's kind of ghoulish looking. You can see his mouth here and his nose. He's got a black patch on his nose. He's got gray skin. Kind of ghoulish looking. The next one was totally gray. Now, probably he was totally gray. He had gray skin and gray hair. It was a digital camera. His background was all gray, so the camera made him all gray. But from all that I can gather, he had gray skin and gray hair. And this is a picture of him right here. He was hiding. He was actually behind me as I was flapping my jaws. And then right there you can this is worked really hard on going frame by frame, but got this one right here. Good picture of his eye and his nose there. You can really see in his left shoulder. You can see how thick foliage he's in. This one's very human looking, except for a dome shaped or elongated skull. There are several Sasquatch that I've captured that have an elongated skull. And for those of you that are aware of the L.A. Marzulli and some of the others that Rob Skiba, some of the others have done work with elongated skulls, Brian Forster, I find it very interesting that some of the Sasquatch have elongated skulls. Some have short, round, more human-like skulls, but many have the elongated skulls. Here's just a cutout of that and blown up. You can see his eye very well there, and his left ear sticks out. And you can kind of see how cone-shaped head he is. These guys here, this was the one with the Jimmy Durante nose. This was a capture it was in infrared, and that's why it's gray, and it's the monotone gray. And these two guys were part of the DNA project. I got their hair, pretty sure, because I got the hair off this tree right here. But this is the peaking tree. There was a camera about 15 feet away, and they used to set it off and then peek between these two trees at the camera. And they would lean in, and you could see them, and then they'd lean back, you couldn't see them. So they would come right in and out of the throw of the infrared. And you can see here, like I said, this little knob right here is at 8 feet. So it's at cheek level. So this guy here is at least 9 feet, and the guy looking over him probably 12. And like I said, this one has the bulbous nose. And this lower one has the more traditional Sasquatch look. He has what's called the raccoon deal, where he's got an enlarged protruding brow, and he cuts his hair, or his hair's trimmed, cut, however you want to say it, right along the top of that brow, and so it comes like an Eddie Munster down in the middle here. This one is to show you genetic diversity. This is a blue one. It had really worked hard on this one. This was on the 1080p, but he was way behind me, and I've worked a long time on bringing out the colors and getting it as clear as I can. And he's got a puffy cheeks. He's got Caucasian colored skin, and like I said, his hair's blue. And so don't be shocked to see him very odd colors: white, blue, red, brown, black, reddish brown, blonde, dirty blonde. I mean, they come in all kinds of genetic diversity and colors. This right here, this guy here is black skin with, you can see here, this one was hiding. This is one of my few 4K captures on the back trail. It's hard to see the whole nose because it's hidden in foliage in the mouth, but you can see he's got, like, his skin, he's black, but like on the end of his nose and around his mouth, it's a little bit of that leathery gray color. Now this one has got the slit eyes, and I've talked about that before. You can see both eyes right here. I have a theory that they have the ability to have a second set of eyelids that come from the side, and make them look like they have snake eyes. And so it looks like, because the sun is almost in this one's eyes, you can see it shining off the foliage, and his eyes are in that slit mode like snake. And then here's I like to play this one. Yes, I worked on the eyes. I really worked on them to clean them up and get the contrast so you could see the slit and the whites of the eyes. But you can see I'm going back and forth here. He's back. You can actually, it's hard to see. His eyes aren't closed. He's just back in the shadows. And then when he, like right there, you can, right there, you can just kind of see his eye, and it's not totally wide open. And then he leans forward. That's 2 frames right there. Some of the best 2 frames I got. But you can see he leans forward, and of course he pushes the foliage with his mouth, and a little bit here as he moves to the forward and to his left. But again, this one's still quite human looking, except for the eyelids and the extra lenses. There are some that look extremely ghoulish, I'm not going to lie, monstrous, just like, you know, the fairy tale monsters. Now this one was at the same peaking tree. He's around 9 foot, and he looks very ghoulish. And of course some of this is because of, you know, his high cheekbones and his facial features, and he's in infrared. But this is one of the creepier looking ones. So don't, you know, if you see one like this, don't be shocked. Here's a very human looking one. This is the one I call the Bigfoot in the Laurels. This is just one of the many still captures. That video I've been working on. It's kind of like M.K. Davis just works, you know, tirelessly and over on the Patterson-Gimlin film, and this is my version of it. I mean, there's so much information in that film, and I worked really hard. The Sasquatch is chewing and moving its mouth and making facial expressions, and though it, you know, it's standing still, there was a lot going on in the face, and like I said, it's chewing on something. And I'm going to show you a video as part of that I had been working on this for 6 months, and what I did is I took it and I blew it up, sharpened it, and adjusted it the best I could, and then ran it out to individual frames, individual pictures, and then I individually enhanced every picture. In other words, adjusted the brightness and the contrast, sharpened it, cleaned up artifacts. You know, because from frame to frame, there's all kind. You know, one frame will be clear as a bell, the next frame will have a little artifact, the next frame will be back clear, and so forth and so on. One you can really see the mouth and it's nice and clear. The next one is kind of fuzzy. So I worked real hard on cleaning all that up, working on the brightness and contrast. I really concentrated on the eyes, you know, tracking where the pupils are going, and getting those cleaned up, and the mouth and the cheeks. So you can see the distortion in the face. And it's a very human face. Doesn't have any hair on the face, but does have hair under the chin, and of course on the head. And what we're looking at here is just one frame of many. And it's crazy because it's the same Sasquatch, but because it distorts its face and the lighting changes a little bit, you know, it's just like anybody else, you know, whether you're looking this way, or that way. And like I said, this thing is chewing something. I mean, it's chewing the gut. I mean, there's times, I mean, its cheeks are just doing its thing. And you'll see, it's crazy looking, but it's another example. It's a extremely human looking Sasquatch, except it's huge. You know, its head's about 3 times. I went and did a follow-up and did a video standing in the same location, and it's huge. I mean, its head's 3 times the size of my head. It's just a huge creature. This is another one. This was taken from behind my house in the infrared camera. You can see the eye shine here, and up here I blew it up a little bit, and then here I adjusted as best I can. And this is a very ghoulish looking one as well. Now it may not be that ghoulish looking in normal light, but in the infrared, of course, you can see the entire eyes are glowing here. The nose is a little obstructed, and then it's got the creepy looking mouth. You know, and that was standing in my neighbor's backyard back in 2011. So just wanted to go over some of the basic types and get the introduction going, and we'll get into more detail in part 2. So here in just a second, I'm going to go ahead and play that video I've done for you, and of the Bigfoot and the Laurels, the enhancement. I hope you enjoyed that. And until part 2 next time, everybody take care, be safe, and God bless.